He thinks it's funny, but I've got stories that can end his legacy.
You know what I'm saying?
You know how hard it is.
Some people say, I want to go play baseball.
Right?
Yeah. And then I want to come back.
This is nothing but a Michael Jordan dish, bro. A Michael Jordan headshot. And it's crazy coming for a like KD, who has literally talking about commitment.
You and Michael at a good spot.
Who, me and Michael?
Jordan?
Yeah, we're a good spot. We don't talk.
Why not, you think?
Because I'm still playing.
The wildest NBA showdown in years is erupting right now, and it's already spinning out of control. LeBron James and Kevin Durant thought they could joke about Michael Jordan like it was nothing, but the whole thing has blown back right in their faces. It all kicked off on the Mind the Game podcast with Steve Nash, where KD dropped a line about MJ that crossed a line instantly. And LeBron, he laughed way too hard, like he had been waiting for that moment. But here's the problem. This wasn't some harmless banter or a quick jab about stats or rings. They took a shot at something extreme.
What's up, kid? Jackson! You got it? Okay. Guys, everybody!
Extremely personal, something tied to MJ's family situation, and fans could tell it touched a nerve instantly. And MJ? He didn't just sit there and shrug it off. He fired back with a calm but chilling response that froze the entire NBA community. He reportedly said, he thinks it's funny, but I've got stories that can end his legacy. And that message spread like wildfire across every corner of social media. And that was only the start. MJ didn't just defend his name. He allegedly dropped receipts about LeBron's past associations with questionable people, and even hinted at rumors fans have whispered about for years regarding performance enhancers. The moment he pushed back, the whole conversation flipped upside down, and suddenly this wasn't a joke anymore. It was a full-blown firestorm with real consequences. Today, we're breaking it all down. The original disrespect.
That one right there made me the greatest player of all time. That's what I felt.
MJ's sharp clapback, the secret tensions bubbling behind the scenes, and all the shocking details that fans believe could reshape the legacies of both LeBron and KD. But to understand how this spiraled so fast, we need to go exactly to the moment this mess started on the Mind the Game podcast. At first, the internet tried to pretend it wasn't that serious, until viewers started replaying the clip and realizing just how bold the comment actually was. LeBron, Steve Nash, and KD were just chatting about longevity, minutes, rest days, the usual stuff, when KD suddenly slid in one of the most subtle but ruthless digs anyone has ever heard from an active NBA star. He said it with a straight face, calm, casual, like he was dropping a random trivia fact. But
LeBron in his prime, Michael in his prime one-on-one. Who wins that game?
Myself, for sure. I mean, I'm gonna take myself versus anybody. I'll tell you one thing, they're gonna have to have a few wheelchairs and a couple ambulances there to get us off the floor.
But it was no trivia. Fans instantly caught the message. This was aimed right at one of the most sensitive chapters of Michael Jordan's life. KD basically hinted that Mike walked away when things got tough, and everyone online felt that sting immediately. But the wildest part? It wasn't even KD's line. It was LeBron's reaction. That over-the-top laugh that made it look like he wasn't just amused. He was enjoying the disrespect. That moment changed everything. You could see LeBron trying to hold that laugh in for half a second before he completely lost it, and that right there exposed everything. That wasn't a spontaneous reaction. That was the kind of laugh people have when they've already talked about the joke behind closed doors. It looked like something they joked about privately, and this was just the first time it slipped out on camera. But context is everything here. Michael Jordan's baseball chapter wasn't some random career switch. It was connected to his father's tragic passing and the emotional weight that came with it. People outside the situation thought it was a strange move, but those who actually...
And at this time, I had no thoughts of coming back and playing the game of basketball. So when I did decide to come back in 1995, and then we played Utah in 96, I'm at the center circle, and Brian Russell's sitting next to me, and I look over to Brian. I say, you remember this conversation you made in 1994 about I think I can guard you, I can shut you down, I would love to play against you. Well, you about to get your chance.
Actually understood the moment, knew it was a son trying to honor his father's dream. So when KD turned that into a punchline, he wasn't just making a joke. He was tapping the one topic MJ has always kept sacred. And the second that clip hit social media, the internet went after KD and LeBron with zero hesitation. Comments were flying, people were furious, and the video exploded across every platform in minutes. Sports creators saw it too and didn't let the moment slip away. They were breaking it down, replaying it frame by frame and calling out the disrespect. And let's be real, KD knows the game inside out. He knows the history better than almost anyone playing today, which made it obvious to everybody that this wasn't some clueless mistake. Fans could see it clearly. This was a targeted shot at MJ, and LeBron doubling it with that laugh made the whole thing feel 10 times more intentional. One superstar making a questionable joke is already messy, but two legends sitting there smirking about the most emotionally heavy moment in MJ's life?
He was caught dressed like my housekeeper and calls himself the GOAT.
That was just unnecessary. If you're going to fire at MJ, at least keep it basketball related. Talk about the Wizards' years. Talk about him checking teammates in practice. Literally anything except the one moment rooted in grief and family. And don't get me started on the people online saying, KD didn't mean it like that. That's nice, but intent doesn't erase impact when the backlash is that loud. The second LeBron let that laugh slip, the tone changed instantly. The conversation wasn't playful anymore. It was disrespectful. What makes all this even more wild is that KD and LeBron act like they're above drama, but somehow they always end up creating the biggest drama in the league. KD,
hey, everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so yeah, that's what's up.
He is known for being sensitive about every little comment, yet he's out here sparking controversies on a podcast. And LeBron, he loves to act publicly like he respects MJ, but the moment he thinks he's in a safe space to joke, he's laughing like he's front row at a comedy special. If there's one thing everyone knows about Michael Jordan after watching him for decades, it's this: he stays silent until you push him too far. And KD and LeBron poked the one topic they should have left alone. People online acted shocked like this was some sudden betrayal, but the truth is, anyone who's paid attention to the history between LeBron and MJ knows this tension didn't come out of
the LeBron situation, because what LeBron essentially did here is he used nepotism to get his son a job in the NBA. That's basically what this was. And most people agree that's what happened. Bronny James, the son, did not play his way into the NBA. Most people generally agree with that.
Nowhere. These two have never been close, and after this latest situation, they probably never will be. And the deeper you dig, the clearer it becomes. LeBron laughing at KD's joke wasn't some accidental moment. It fit perfectly with everything we've seen over the years. One of the biggest examples was earlier this year on Pat McAfee's show, where LeBron finally admitted something that fans had suspected forever. He and Michael Jordan do not talk. Not casually, not privately, not even in passing. He tried to explain it by saying MJ is too competitive, as if Jordan refuses to speak with active players until they retire. And that explanation sounded strange from the start, because the MJ fans know he has spoken to plenty of active players over the years. He talked to Kobe so much they eventually became extremely close, to the point people described them as practically family. And let's be honest, Kobe was a significantly bigger competitive threat to MJ's legacy than LeBron in many people's eyes, yet MJ still embraced him. So LeBron's explanation sounded like the classic,
he was on steroids, bro. He had to sit out, he was on steroids for real. Y'all remember that though?
Nah.
When they was like, he got everybody, they started testing for HGH, and they was like, yo, and he had to sit out, like he said his back was hurt, and he sat out for like 3 weeks, and he came back skinny. This is just, I was in the league, I remember.
Line you use when someone asks why your friend never comes around anymore, and you say, oh, they're just busy. It didn't feel real. It sounded like a cover-up for something deeper. Things got even stranger when LeBron added that once he retires, then he and MJ would become close. That was wild to hear because relationships don't magically fix themselves the moment someone stops working. If two people aren't connecting now, stepping away from the game isn't suddenly going to make MJ pick up the phone. In fact, the way LeBron said it made it obvious he feels the distance, like he knows something is off. You don't bring up a future, maybe we'll be close someday, unless the lack of connection has been sitting on your mind for a long time. And this distance, it isn't new at all. The signs have been there for everyone to see. Just look back at the 2022 All-Star Game in Cleveland, the 75th anniversary ceremony. MJ walked out last and the arena erupted louder than it had all night. The energy was electric, like the building lit up the moment he appeared. That moment alone reminded everyone that when MJ steps into a room, the atmosphere shifts instantly. That night, MJ was out there hugging everybody, dapping guys up, laughing, enjoying the moment. But the second he walked toward LeBron, the whole vibe shifted instantly. MJ hit him with one of those quick, stiff,
to not have passed Michael in 30-point games, and he's played, I think he's on year 20, right?
hey man handshakes. that felt like two people who used to be cool but haven't spoken in ages. No warmth, no spark, just a polite nod and keep it moving. Then MJ took 2 steps forward, spotted Luka Doncic, and suddenly lit up like he just found a family member in the crowd. The smile, the energy, the full embrace. It was a totally different reaction. And the craziest part? This was happening in LeBron City during LeBron's weekend, on a night Cleveland practically dedicated to him, and MJ still showed more genuine excitement seeing Luka than the man the ceremony was built around. And honestly, can you blame MJ? It's not like LeBron hasn't been poking the bear for years. The biggest turning point came the moment LeBron went on camera after the 2016 finals and openly declared himself the greatest player ever. He didn't hint it. He didn't suggest it. He looked into that camera and said that accomplishment made him the greatest of all time. That was the moment the entire dynamic cracked. Before that, LeBron constantly showed love to MJ. He called him his idol, wore 23, copied MJ's celebrations, even said MJ was the reason he picked up a basketball. But overnight, he shifted from MJ is the standard to I'm the GOAT now. And he did it.
KD is a great, great player. He's sensitive, 100% sensitive. What I said, and I stick by, KD is a great, great player. But he's going to have to win a championship without the Warriors to get the old heads respect. And I used the analogy. I said, Kobe Bryant, one of the greatest ever, said, I had to win a championship without Shaq.
Casually on television while MJ was at home staying quiet. And look, MJ is competitive, no doubt. But he's also proud. If someone's going to take that top spot, he expects them to earn it through their play and through the respect of their peers, not announce it themselves on a scripted TV segment. That's not how MJ sees greatness. And then there's the one-on-one talk that keeps resurfacing. Every few years, old clips blow up of LeBron confidently saying he'd beat MJ in a prime versus prime matchup. And he never says it with simple confidence. He always throws in extra jokes like they'd need wheelchairs afterward or stretchers to get them off the court. Like he's narrating a whole action movie trailer. Check this part out. LeBron in his prime, Michael in his prime, one-on-one, who wins? LeBron answers every time, I'm taking myself for sure. I'm not choosing anybody over me, but they'd need a couple wheelchairs and ambulances to get us off the floor. That kind of talk is fine when you're joking about random players, yeah, but when you're talking about the man who changed the sport, the man whose legacy built the modern NBA, that hits different. And for MJ, a guy who takes competition more seriously than anyone on the planet, those comments weren't harmless fun. They were little shots stacked up over years and eventually they add weight. But when you start talking boldly about the man whose legacy you've been chasing your entire career, yeah, it becomes obvious why MJ wouldn't be thrilled hearing those comments. And that's exactly why KD's little baseball jab wasn't just some lighthearted joke. It hit straight at a part of MJ's life that carries heavy emotional weight. That baseball chapter wasn't a random hobby or a mid-career experiment. It was tied directly to his father, James Jordan Sr., and everything that happened around that time. Back then,
trying to get back your timing and conditioning, really, to be honest, correct?
Yeah.
Michael was dealing with a well-known gambling habit. It wasn't out of control the way people dramatized it, but it did create enough noise and attention that it unintentionally set off a chain of pressure he never expected. And during that period, his father was tragically involved in an incident that shook Michael's entire world. For years, fans speculated and connected dots in ways that made the situation even harder for him, with some claiming his personal choices somehow contributed to the circumstances around his father's passing. That kind of guilt stays with a person, and the emotional toll is impossible to fully understand from the outside. And here's the key. The baseball decision was deeply connected to all of that. Jordan Sr. loved baseball with his whole heart. He grew up playing it, taught the game to his sons, and always dreamed of seeing one of them succeed on a professional field. So when Michael suddenly stepped away from basketball to play minor league baseball, he wasn't running from pressure or hiding from criticism. He was trying to honor the dream his father cherished. It was a tribute, a healing choice, a way to keep his father's presence alive after losing him far too soon. But that move came with its own storm. The media absolutely tore into him. Headlines were wild. Jordan quits basketball for baseball. MJ escapes NBA pressure. Theories spread everywhere. Some speculated it was an emotional escape. Others pushed rumors that he was secretly suspended. A few even suggested the league pressured him out. None of that was confirmed, but Michael had to hear it, see it, and live through it. Imagine carrying an entire franchise, carrying the league, carrying family trauma, and then carrying a national media circus on top of it. The weight was unimaginable. So when KD turned that chapter, a chapter rooted in grief, love, and healing, into a punchline, and LeBron doubled down by laughing at it. That's why so many people felt it crossed a line instantly. The whole situation was wild. And if you know anything about MJ, you already understand one thing. He does not tolerate disrespect. Maybe KD's joke or LeBron's laugh would slide with other legends, but not with Michael. He's built different. He remembers every slight, every jab, every offhand comment. And when he responds, he does it with precision that leaves people stunned. Just look at his Hall of Fame speech. He didn't show up to be soft or sentimental. He didn't play the humble, gentle role people expected. He walked in there ready to remind everyone exactly who he is. That speech wasn't just a celebration, it was a message. It was MJ demonstrating what happens when you underestimate him. It was him reclaiming every moment of disrespect he'd ever absorbed and flipping it back with authority. That's why KD and LeBron were messing with the wrong thing when they poked at the one chapter of MJ's life that carries the most emotional weight. You can joke about rings, scoring averages, missed shots, or who's more athletic. Fine. You can debate leadership, achievements, or even clutch moments. Cool. But you do not touch that baseball year. That chapter isn't about stat sheets. It's about grief, healing, and honoring someone he loved deeply. MJ took a tragedy and turned it into fuel. He dealt with rumors, media pressure, and nonstop speculation, all while carrying the NBA on his back, and still ended up becoming the greatest player the league has ever seen. That's why he's untouchable. But the story didn't end there. It's because MJ did respond to LeBron, and the response was sharp. And honestly, it made this whole situation even more embarrassing for LeBron. Because when you look at LeBron's past, you start seeing a long list of moments where he didn't exactly look flawless. His history alone makes that loud laugh feel even more out of place, like he forgot his own track record while laughing at someone else's pain. This is supposed to be the guy some people call the greatest ever. But ask fans who lived through the eras of players who dominated with pure edge and mental toughness, and they'll tell you straight, moments like this don't help LeBron's case at all. And to show you how deep this goes, around this time, LeBron ended up on a call with Diddy, and he said this. And that moment opened a whole new conversation around what MJ hinted at when he clapped back. The moment that old clip resurfaced, people started talking again, and not in a flattering way for LeBron. Everyone knows the kind of wild rumors and controversies that have followed Diddy for years, especially with the recent investigations and allegations surrounding him. And even though nothing has ever connected LeBron directly to anything illegal, fans online immediately started questioning the optics. They saw LeBron smiling on camera with him, showing support at public events and attending gatherings linked to Diddy. And that alone sparked a whole new wave of speculation. Because once Diddy was detained and the headlines exploded, LeBron suddenly went quiet. And for someone who usually speaks out on major issues, that silence made people raise eyebrows. It wasn't a crime. It just looked bad. When you're viewed as the league's clean image, any association with someone facing heavy accusations makes people wonder what the real relationship looked like behind the scenes. And then things shifted toward LeBron's family, especially Bronny. People online started pointing out how much influence LeBron has in the NBA, and whether that influence might have helped Bronny secure opportunities faster than other young players. Fans weren't calling it illegal, they were calling it nepotism. And when someone constantly compares themselves to MJ's legacy, having critics say you helped push your son into the league doesn't exactly boost your argument. And then the whispers about performance enhancers? That's where it gets even messier. Jeff Teague once claimed, in a lighthearted but eyebrow-raising way, that LeBron would conveniently miss certain games whenever HGH testing increased. He said it as a story from his playing days, not as confirmed fact. But fans grabbed onto it anyway because LeBron's size, durability, and late career body changes have always been a topic of debate. Again, nothing proven. Just rumors fans recycle every few years whenever drama surfaces. And then there's the Delonte West situation, one of the most infamous rumors ever attached to LeBron's career. West himself denied plenty of stories over the years, but the speculation that he had some kind of personal involvement with LeBron's mother became a massive locker room distraction in Cleveland at the time. LeBron never addressed it publicly, which allowed the rumor mill to spin completely out of control. It wasn't proven, but it definitely added tension and became one of the NBA's most talked about scandals for years. That's why people online were saying LeBron shouldn't be laughing at anything tied to MJ's pain, because LeBron's own history is full of messy, complicated, and uncomfortable moments that haven't disappeared from public memory. MJ never had teammates tied to rumors involving his family, but LeBron had to deal with that drama becoming national conversation. And it doesn't stop there. Fans have long said LeBron's influence stretches far beyond the court, straight into front office decisions. People believe he uses his star power to push trades, shape rosters, and basically act as a shadow GM. Whether that's true or exaggerated, it's a reputation he's carried for more than a decade. And when someone has that much power, every choice they make, every friend they stand beside, every rumor they ignore, every laugh they let slip, gets judged on a totally different level. LeBron isn't chasing greatness anymore. He's chasing cultural relevance, and it shows. From the dramatic announcements to the movie roles to all the branding moments, it's clear he's trying to keep up with MJ's impact. But here's the truth. MJ never had to chase anything. He didn't need product placements, interviews, or flashy marketing campaigns. He was the selling point. The man built the most successful sneaker empire on the planet without needing to remind people who he was. The world already knew. And when it comes to how they handle pressure or criticism, the difference is massive. LeBron never confronts things head on. He hides behind subtweets, cryptic messages, or vague social media posts. That quiet shading routine. But MJ? He faces things directly every single time. That's the ultimate contrast. LeBron would never have the courage to laugh like that in MJ's face, and everyone knows it. Even the legends see through him. Charles Barkley and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar have publicly questioned his approach, and they didn't sugarcoat anything. These aren't random fans. These are two of the most respected voices in basketball history, and even they think his methods look off. So when you put all of this together, either the Diddy situation, the Bronny debates, the performance-enhancing whispers, the Delonte West rumors, the front office influence, all of it. And then remember, he still chose to laugh at MJ's most sensitive and personal chapter. That's not just clueless behavior. That's someone choosing to mock something he could never match or understand. But at least LeBron is still one of the best of his era. KD, on the other hand, that's a whole different story. Because what exactly has Kevin Durant done to feel bold enough to take that kind of shot at MJ? Sure, he's an elite scorer, nobody denies that, but his off-court behavior has exposed something bigger. Insecurity, entitlement, and a thin skin that's almost legendary now. If you're going to poke at the greatest of all time, your own resume better be spotless. And KD's isn't even close. Let's start with the burner accounts. Yes, multiple burner accounts, which he admitted using to clap back at fans and critics. Think about that for a second. The guy who wants to throw sneaky shade at MJ can't even handle criticism under his own name. He literally hides behind fake profiles to argue with strangers online. And then you've got the Warriors situation, the one decision that permanently changed how fans view him. When KD was with the Oklahoma City Thunder, they were up 3-1 in the 2016 Western Conference Finals. They had the Warriors on the ropes, and then collapsed. Instead of staying with his team, regrouping, and coming back stronger, KD jumped straight to the very team that had just knocked him out. He left OKC behind and joined the same squad that had beaten him. And fans never forgot it. That move became one of the most controversial decisions in modern NBA history. It didn't break any rules, but it crushed his credibility in the eyes of millions. And that's the guy who thinks he can make tasteless jokes about MJ's trauma? KD poking the GOAT while carrying that history is wild. Because if there's anyone who shouldn't be throwing shade, it's someone with a resume that fans still debate to this day. KD didn't challenge himself. He didn't test his limits. He didn't try to fight through adversity with the team he had. He just jumped to the super team that eliminated him. And the wildest part? He openly said he'd do it again 1,000,000 times. At least now everyone knows the truth. Those 2 championship rings only came because he joined the most stacked roster of the era. Meanwhile, MJ, the man KD felt brave enough to mock, has 6 championships earned the hard way. And somehow KD still thought he could take a shot at MJ, even after everything that went down in Brooklyn. His time with the Nets wasn't just messy, it was full-on mayhem. He demanded trades, butted heads with coaches, and created an atmosphere so chaotic that the entire league was talking about it. Reports said he was micromanaging everything, influencing rotations, pushing front office decisions, and basically expecting the whole franchise to move exactly how he wanted. So of course he and LeBron get along. They operate the same way when it comes to power. Loyalty, accountability, and resilience come second. Comfort and control come first. That's the difference between them and Michael Jordan. MJ didn't run from challenges. He built the Chicago Bulls brick by brick through relentless work, mental toughness, and leadership that demanded excellence. He didn't need rosters rearranged for him. He didn't need front office influence. He didn't need shortcuts. He earned respect by showing up every day ready to dominate, ready to uplift his teammates, ready to take responsibility. Even Charles Barkley said KD is thin-skinned, and that NBA legends won't fully respect him until he wins a championship without the Warriors. Barkley compared it to Shaq in his prime, dominating without needing to latch onto a 73-win powerhouse. And here's the reality. KD hasn't done it. Since leaving Golden State, he hasn't come close to proving he can lead a team to a title on his own terms. And instead of handling that criticism like a grown man, this is how KD responded, with petty shade and childish comments that made him look even more fragile. It's like watching someone try to act tough while revealing how insecure they really are. And if he's not doing that, then he's on Twitter going back and forth with fans, journalists, former teammates, and even NBA legends. It's constant clapbacks, long rants, and emotional back and forth with anyone who dares to challenge him. KD can score, KD can shoot. Nobody denies his talent. But when we talk culture, influence, or sheer competitive fire, he's nowhere near MJ's level, not even close. So yeah, that joke he made, there was absolutely no reason for it. He hadn't earned the right to poke the most iconic figure in basketball history. And honestly, it feels like he never learned the basic rule of NBA history. When you disrespect a legend, sooner or later, the universe, or the legend themselves, will humble you. Just look at Dwight Howard. In 2013, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar went on ESPN and questioned Dwight's basketball IQ, respectfully but directly. He said Dwight wasn't thinking the game through and doubted his dominance. And from that moment forward, Dwight's career shifted dramatically. Legends don't throw shade without reason, and when they do, the consequences follow every single time. Dwight tried firing back by flexing his 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards, but the whole exchange felt off from the jump. Kareem didn't back down for a second. He doubled down, saying Dwight didn't want to put in the real work behind the scenes. Howard kept trying to respond, but every clapback made him look even more insecure. That's the thing about challenging legends. You rarely walk away clean. And LeBron has felt that sting too. Think back to 2014 when Lance Stevenson leaned in during the Eastern Conference Finals and literally blew air into LeBron's ear. He thought it was playful, just like KD and LeBron thought their joke about MJ was harmless. But the whole moment became a meme at LeBron's expense and aged terribly for Lance. That's how it always goes. Look at the younger players who tried to take shots at Kobe or MJ back in the day. Rookie comments, interview shade, little jokes they thought were clever. Every single one of those moments came back to haunt them. Shaq? Don't even start. Shaq built a whole career on humbling anyone who disrespected him. If a center talked slick, Shaq demolished them on the court and then roasted them publicly after. The universe doesn't let disrespect slide. And that brings us back to the pattern you see over and over. Disrespect a legend. Get humbled. Every single time. Whether it's a public roasting, getting dominated on the court, or history embarrassing you years later, it always comes full circle. But this isn't just any legend we're talking about. This is Michael Jordan, the recognized standard, the undisputed cultural force, the blueprint for greatness. Disrespecting him isn't edgy or funny, it's pure arrogance. MJ represents dominance, legacy, fearlessness, and cultural power, all wrapped into one untouchable package. Rings, checked, cultural influence, off the charts, competitive fire, unmatched. This isn't about highlight reels or stat sheets, it's about the throne, and MJ has protected that throne his entire life. So if anyone thinks MJ is just going to shrug off KD and LeBron, mocking one of the most emotional chapters of his past, you're fooling yourself. MJ has been tested, doubted, and challenged for decades, and every time he responds, someone else ends up regretting it. And that leads to the biggest question of the night. Should MJ reveal more? He already hinted he has stories that could completely shift how people see LeBron. We already saw the clip where LeBron was hyping Diddy. Imagine the other things MJ could expose if he wanted to. The receipts he could drop. The behind-the-scenes moments only he knows. It would shake the league. But the ironic part? MJ won't do it. That's not his style. He's always let the game, the record, and the legacy speak for him. He doesn't need to show off proof. Time has already done that for him. So let me ask you this. If you were Michael Jordan, would you let that disrespect slide? And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you like the video, subscribe, drop a comment, and share it to keep the conversation going. And I'll see you in the next one.